Disability group criticizes Lupita Nyongos' character voice in Us. Film Us may have broken a number of box office records already, but it hasn't been a hit to everyone. A disability group, Us, focuses on the Wilson family, who is confronted by their evil doppelgangers, you also known as the Tethered You, during a night at their summer home. Nyongos Dop. 1. Jennifer Laszlo Mizrahi, the president of Respectability, a non-profit organization that works to fight stigmas against disabilities, also spoke out, connecting. The outrage isn't necessarily unfounded. Nyong'o, While Nyong'o said she did not intend to replicate the muscular disorder exactly, the NSDA still feels like the voice paired with the terrifying nature of the story creates a false narrative. 4. Jussie Smollett can't seem to catch a break. The city of Chicago is reportedly suing the Empire actor for $130,000 over the time spent investigating his now infamous hate crime, TMZ reports. Officials report the back and forth has now erupted into a more serious matter. However, if the case ultimately returns to court, a judge will have to decide whether the alleged attack was staged before determining whether Smollett is required to fork over any money. But this could work again, and it gets worse. If a judge were so, this civil suit could probably go in a million different directions. Let's see how Smollett. Rick Ross is defending Cardi B amid the surviving Cardib hashtag, spawned from a 3-year-old video of the Bronx native admitting to drugging and robbing men when she worked as a stripper. Cardi attempted to address the backlash with a statement posted on social media earlier in the week. All I can do now. The explanation didn't exactly extinguish the fury. Rosie, who, in a lot of circumstances, that's what comes with that lifestyle. She never hid that. In 2013, Rosie wrapped Molly in her champagne. She ain't even know it's I took her home and enjoyed that. She ain't even know. The lyrics cost. I took that on the chin, and I have no love lost for Reebok. I needed to understand. The 43-year-old rapper went on to explain what inspired his controversial lyrics. The parties I attend, me being a king, I did not need to promote that among my beautiful queens, Ross added. In closing, Ross reiterated that Cardi shouldn't be punished. We don't need to watch the full video below. Amber Alert, David is missing. Okay, we're being dramatic. But by missing, convinced that the devil has sent Elaine along to test him, David has seemingly given up on everything, leaving Ari and Bryson on friend duty to lift their brother up again. They are willing to be there. Just because he's down, Pastor David is not out. He's still here. With the help of a little Mary Jane, an overly hungry Ari begins to get on Bryson's nerves once again, because not only is he undriven, but he's also a greedy brokey. Sidebar: have you? As David deals with his guilt, Ari and Bryson get a chance to speak one-on-one. The two catch up on, although we're no longer in biblical times, David is determined to keep his vow of celibacy, meaning no more link-ups with Elaine. The devil is a liar. A sudden feeling of the Holy Spirit leads David into a prayer for forgiveness, one that Ari is already familiar with. You know the Lord can. Meanwhile, Eris sure hit it on the head. God is dope. And by his mercy.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up.